So I always have the detailed people around us. We just like to go.
Okay, so is everyone else hearing me fine?
I got you now.
Great. So Sean, will you please just elaborate a little bit from, I know you said public presentations here, but my mind's not super clear on it right now. So what exactly was it again?
Yes, now that you've spent all these months teaching us a multitude of fire hydrant of information, when we do our public presentation, I'm thinking about which content I wanted to cover,
Okay, yeah.
and maybe just elaborate on 2 or 3 different ideas, whether it's drift and shift, or whether it's the 4 stages of life, or what to do and how to have. I know what to say. I don't know which contents to go over, and now I'm very clear on my tie-in at the end and the call to action and how I enroll.
Sweet. What is the end product that you're going to prescribe?
My call to action is to join the 90-day Love Your Life Challenge.
And what's the benefit of joining the 90-day Love Your Life Challenge?
The benefit to them is getting clarity and finding progress 4 core areas of life.
It cut out for most of that. Will you please say it again?
The benefit to them is having transformation, having clear goals, and attaining those goals in the 4 core areas of life that we do in the Core 4.
Got it. So the number one benefit is that you're saying we're going to pick these 4 areas and we're going to help you accomplish what you want in those areas. And they're going to be like, so the sell is you get to create what you want in your life. Right?
Right.
Perfect. So the event needs to be along those lines. You need to establish that you have knowledge and insight that they don't have, that they've never considered along those lines. So this is actually, I think, let me give you one model and you can try it on and see if it's the way you want to go. And this would work for many of you others that do presentations, speaking events, whatever. You could pick any topic and run it this way. You could literally structure your entire event based on the 5 gates. So I could stand up, I could go run an ad right now and say, hey, all local businesses in San Clemente, I'm putting on a local event for local businesses to show them how to kick ass and be successful. And I could do this for weight loss, any topic. But say I was promoting an event just for local businesses. So I get on and I stand up, I'm like, welcome everybody from San Clemente, business owners. You're going to be glad that you're here. We're going to cover some very important things that are going to make all the difference in the world for your life. So let's start by addressing, and I might set it up by saying, the key to getting where you're going is to first know where you're at. So the first thing we need to do before we move forward is get clear on where everybody's at. So where are you guys currently? What's your current reality in your business? And the more real and raw you get here, the more relevant what we do here will be. So then I start digging. I get on my whiteboard. I'm like, okay. And if all you guys were here attending, I'd be like, okay, what are you struggling with in your business? And you're like, well, I don't have enough clients. Okay, need more clients. All right, and what else is going on? Well, I just don't have enough time. Don't have enough time. Got it. And I write them down on the board. Not enough clients, not enough time, shitty clients, feast or famine, like whatever comes up for everybody. I'm just getting it from you. You're telling me your shit, and I'm writing it down and putting it right in front of your face. If I had a big whiteboard, I might literally divide it into 5 sections. And maybe even right at the top of each section. Pain, pleasure, or maybe change the word if it's more conducive to their languaging. It might be like what you don't want in gate 1, what you do want in gate 2, or like gate 1 might be what you want less of. Gate 2, what you want more of. Gate 3, what's in your way? Gate 4, commitment. Gate 5, solution, or whatever. Find the words that you think that they would resonate with. And then I could literally do the entire workshop on that and have them teach the workshop Me just asking questions. All right, what else are you experiencing that you don't want in your business or in your life? In your scenario, you might ask life. And they're like, well, I want better, I'm struggling in time and money and relationships and whatever. And so you're just writing that down and you're elaborating on it a little bit and getting them to get that you understand what they're talking about, sharing a few stories and examples of how you've experienced something similar. And then, so once you've covered sufficiently and you've gotten everyone involved, and you know that everyone's told you the main struggles they're experiencing in their life right now, and maybe divide that first section up into four areas. The 4 you're going to talk about. So here's the pain that you want and that you're having in these 4 areas. Boom, 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 boom. So that everyone tells you what their biggest pain. And you may ask the question, what's your biggest pain in the area of your health? What's the most painful part of your health right now? And then each person tells you what it is, and you just write it down. And then you go, okay, what's the most painful part of your relationships right now? And it'll take some prodding because they're not going to want to open up in public, and they're going to be shy, and they're going to be resistant, and they're going to keep their secrets, and they're all going to be in persona and wearing their masks and playing their games. And you're going to need to call them out on that shit. Like, hey, guys, are you going to keep playing the game and keep getting the same results, or are you going to open up? So you're just going to get curious about how to open them up and keep asking questions. And if they expose to you and pick on the people, not only the people, get the answers from the people who immediately answer, but then get involvement from the people who are not. Like, reach out and say, well, what about you, Mr. Quiet One sitting in the corner? What's your biggest pain with this? And get them to participate so that everyone's interacting and you're not just lost in the people who are totally infatuated and caught into it. Keep everyone engaged. So then if you just ask them and you wrote all those down, you're like, yeah, these are some big problems and pretty typical. And what's it like? What are you guys noticing as everyone's sharing this? Well, I'm surprised. Others are experiencing the same thing as me. I thought I was just a nutcase. Right. It feels nice to know that I'm not alone, and whatever else they say, right? So they're having transformation just from getting real, just from acknowledging where they're at, and seeing that there's others in the same boat that they're in. And all we've done is gone through gate 1 on the 4 areas. And then go through gate 2. All right, so if this is where you're at and what you're experiencing, and this is good that you're getting real, because, as long as everyone walks around with their masks on, nothing's ever going to change. So congratulations, you've already made the first biggest step, which is to face where you're at and to get real about it. And just to be open in a place like this in public is huge. So kudos to all of you. I'm proud of you. Turn to your partner, give him a high five. Everyone's touching and interacting now. And they're opening up, and they're doing what you tell them to do. So now, there's a bunch of things that happen in that. Now you go, okay, great. Now let's talk about, there's no use focusing on what we don't want. It's good to be clear on what we don't want, but let's not focus on that. Let's get really clear on what we do want more of and design that out, because if we don't know where we're going, we're already there. Who wants to go somewhere else? Raise your hand. Everyone raised their hand. See, I'm keeping them involved. I'm not just speaking, preaching. I'm keeping them involved. Raise your hand. Give them a high five. Touch. Interact. Turn to your partner and say, you're a badass. You deserve to be free. Whatever. So now I got them through. What do you really want? And what do you want? What do you want? What do you want? What do you want? Okay? What's next? What would be ideal for you in your body and your relationships and your health and your spirituality and all this? Great. And once we painted a completely clear picture of what the collective consciousness of that room wants, boom, got it. Now we go to the gap. Okay, what are the stoppers? What are all the things that are holding you back, the resistance that tries to keep you small and stuck? And have them all call it out. and you write it down. So it's all in front of them, and they're like, holy shit, they're all having insights as each other shares their perspective, and you're sharing and coaching a little bit along the way, like, yeah, and how about this, and have you considered that, and what about that, and what if it's not about that? And boom, now you've got the pain all painted out, you've got the paradise all painted out, you've got the gap and the stoppers all painted out right in front of everybody, still sitting there on the board. If you don't have a big whiteboard, use the little easel with the paper sheets and take one off and stick it on the wall. And then once you build out the pain on one sheet, stick it on the wall. Then fill out the paradise and pull that sheet off and stick it on the wall. And then, so one at a time or whatever, get creative however you structure it. Then there's stoppers. Then once we're clear on where they're at, where they want to be, and what's stopping them, this is huge and transformational in and of itself. I haven't even preached about much at all. It's mostly them teaching and interacting, and me just guiding and leading the thing. Then I do a little speech on the importance of commitment. I say, you know, guys, bottom line is most people try something once or twice and they quit. And the true thing that separates winners from losers is commitment. Maybe I teach a little bit on commitment, and I show maybe a diagram how a plane's off course 99% of the time. And if they recommit when they hit obstacles, then they'll make it, and if they don't, they won't. And then I say, you know, who's committed and how committed are you, and what, you know, open up a dialogue. Have you guys, what's been your experience in the past around commitment? Has it held you back in the past? Now, at the end, when they've shown me their stoppers, their pain, their paradise, they have given me everything I need to know to make my offer at the end. You good, or do you got to step out? Looks like he's got to step out. Okay, open up the floor. Any questions about this topic, and what are you guys getting so far?
It's awesome, Chris. It's easy.
Yeah.
Always what
this flowed through me one day when I was coaching somebody, and he turned around and did it that next week, and he closed like 20 dudes in his local area. He just called all the business owners. He said, hey, I'm doing a business training for local business owners. And all these local business owners came, and he literally enrolled his whole town. He was from Montana, and almost every business owner in town hired him on the spot.
Yeah. So what comes up for me is I didn't even realize that every single presentation I've ever done, even though I haven't been asking the specific pain questions, it's been focused on this is the shit, then this is what you want to create, and then these are the gaps and what's stopping you, and then how do we go to filling that. So it's like, for anybody that even just allowing you to go through this process, it transforms people to just get real, because most of the time we never even get real. So it's not even that you need a lot of specific content. What I was thinking earlier for Sean was, the content can come into also in between this is like you said, what's the benefit of what is he teaching, instead of trying to like, let me be like Chris, let me teach these different things that Chris does. That's like the insecurity of like, I don't know my own stuff. Like, what are you going to deliver? What is the value your program is going to give? So through the pain, pleasure, etc., it's like, this is why you stop yourself, and this is why we get to create a solution, and it not being the full solution. So it's being the enough that they go, whoa, fuck, I need you. I want to know how to have more, how to do that. So, but yeah, this is perfect. Is just using the 5 gates. I'm actually speaking for 900 people in Utah in a week, and I was like, oh, this be, maybe I'll just do the 5 gates. Yeah. And then what comes out of it every single time is like, this is the reason why is you're stuck in your identity or your perceptions or your thoughts. Teaching can come out of it so easy when you allow people to just bring up what's there. It's like with Goddess, how we had someone show up in something, and we went a whole different direction based on that, and it allowed the perfect, most intense transformation for them because it was what showed up. So I think part of it is and this allows the freedom to just kind of flow with it too. Yeah. And it flows with it. So very.
Yeah. and then just fill in the gaps in between. You can teach. You're automatically going to be inspired and teach, and then however they show up is going to bring other things out, but this is just a basic flow to go with, and then everything else becomes just flow.
Yep. Awesome.
Love it. And then at the end, so once you've got them like, and then the rest of the commitment piece is me getting them committed as a group. Like, well, okay, guys, now that we see that the difference between success and not success is commitment, and how many of you know that that's critical? Okay, and how many of you in the past have tried a diet before and didn't follow through? Raise your hand. All right, how many of you guys have had a great idea in the past that you knew was awesome, but you didn't actually execute it? Raise your hand. All right, how many of you guys have started shit and not finished it in the past? Raise your hand. And everyone's raising their hand. And then I might even ask, so what's the deal? What stops that? What do you see as the reasons why you haven't been able to follow through in the past? And they'll be like, well, and they'll give some half-assed answers because they don't actually know. Right? And then I start pointing out and I say, well, what about, you know, do you think self-love might play a role in it? Do you think impeccable integrity might play a role in it? What role do you think impeccable integrity might play? And they start tossing back and forth. And then I'm like, well, and what role do you think your environment has played in your ability to remain committed to the things you knew you needed to do? Okay, and notice I'm setting them up for what the solution is. The solution is skill sets, mindsets, and environment, right? So I might be like, what role do you think not having the right information and abilities has played in your not following through and getting the results that you want? And so I'm asking all these questions, then at the end I easily turn around and show it to them like, okay, let me tell you about what's going to determine whether you're successful or not. One is whether you're committed or not, but even before your commitment comes clarity. If you're not clear on where you're going, you're not going to get there. You're already there. Once you are clear, if you're not committed, you're not going to get there. Once you're committed, if you don't have the right environment to support you to remain committed, you're not going to remain committed, and you're not going to get there. Once you're committed, if you don't have the environment that allows you to break through your bullshit stories and patterns, you're not going to move forward. And so even though you committed, you're just going to give up, and it's going to be chalked up as one more failure on the path. And then once you're committed and you're getting the breakthrough, that's all good. But if you don't have accountability, you're going to get sidetracked by shiny objects and other temptations and distractions, and you're still not going to get there. And then along the way, if you don't shift some mindsets and let go of some old stories and beliefs that have been holding you back, you're going to struggle, and it's going to be difficult and a long, hard journey, and you might just get too tired and give up. So how many of you are sick and tired of being trapped and stuck, wanting it all, but never fucking getting there? Raise your hand. Awesome. How many of you are ready to do whatever it takes to free yourself? How many are done with the excuses? How many are done blaming the world and everything outside of themselves for what they don't have that they want? How many of you are seriously ready to commit 100% to solve this? And now that you've said 10 other yeses just now and raised your hand, I'll just throw one more in since you're already in yes momentum. And I'll say, how many of you are ready to have the solution? And they just asked me to tell them what the solution is. Say, awesome. Set up this program. Got accountability. It's got breakthrough. It's got mindsets and skill set upgrades. It's got the right environment. keep you on course and support you and love you through your shit. Help you shift your mindsets. Improve your skill sets. And it solves all these things we talked about right here. You said this and this and this and this was stopping you. All this stuff in my program counters all that shit that's stopping you so that you can stop having all that shit you don't want, start having all that shit you do want. So I'm going to pass out this form right now. And those who are committed are going to fill out this form, and we're going to move forward as a unit, creating exactly what we've set out to create. And those who aren't committed and who would rather choose to continue doing what they've been doing, hoping for a different result, are not going to fill out the form. Or whatever way. That's a pretty bold close. But you pick your own style. Morris, explain more. That's what I've been doing. You've been doing presentations naturally this way? You're going to have to unmute yourself, brother.
Yeah. So, no, what I was saying is you were talking about the commitment level to the accountability, and you mentioned the shiny object. I'm so guilty of that. That's all I was saying.
All you have to do is say ass, Morris, and you're like, wow, squirrel, ass, what?
How'd you know, Marcy?
Because I know you, bitch, I know you.
You spot it if you got it.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I love ass. Love you, love the mascot.
God bless you.
God bless me.
Any comments, questions, or requests on this model? Sweet. Okay, so Brian said, will you go over any additional skill sets and accurate sales tracking so I'm clear on how to harness my energy? Thank you, my man. So here's the deal, guys. As far as mindset skill sets on sales.
I have a little bit on that, Chris.
Okay.
But first, clarify. I want to clarify more of what you're thinking, what he's asking. Protecting energy to be able to stay consistent with sales. I'm not clear exactly what he's saying, but I have a couple thoughts.
Cool. So I just read his post in the Badass Ascension Level 2, and I commented, I said, this and this and this will help you get there, and then he commented back, cool, will you clarify some of this, and this, which was mostly what I just read, which was skill sets and mindsets around it. So mindsets, one of the number one things is certainty sales. So being absolutely certain in your product or service is critical, and the value of that, so that you can present it with zero hesitation. So that's critical, whatever you got to do to get there. Also, if you can do your sales calls in the morning, my sales calls are a lot more powerful in the morning. So I schedule my sales calls first thing, before everything else. If I do it later in the afternoon, and I've been through a day, and at that point, a lot of times I don't really care as much. I'm like, well, I'll just do a half-assed presentation. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But first thing in the morning, I'm fresh, I'm crisp. I just run 6 miles and showered and meditated and read something cool. I'm all inspired and ready to roll. I get on the phone with them, and it's real easy to be certain from this place. I've done my core 4. I'm in power. It's super easy to be certain from this place. As you gain a track record, so when I first started coaching, my certainty was a lot less because I didn't have a track record. I haven't worked with a lot of people. I hadn't created a lot of results. I was working with lower-end people who were a pain in the ass to work with and didn't get as good of results. And so my certainty, that kind of was a game of juggling till I got to a higher level. And now there's so damn many case studies, I can't even we don't, you know, there's zero shortage of testimonials or proof or case studies. So that helps over time. But in the meantime, one of the biggest things that helped me make the leap, because before I had all that proof, I doubted and I feared that I wouldn't deliver. And I know this exists in most people who are beginners. What if I charge a lot and I don't deliver? And so when I ran into that and I saw that thought surface in my mind, the thing that helped me shift that big and almost instant was I made a commitment. I said, I commit. Come hell or high water, I will underpromise and overdeliver whatever it takes. And when I knew inside of me that I was absolutely committed to that, and it wasn't me telling them that, it was me telling me that. When I knew and I had a knowing inside of me that I was committed, period, 100% committed to over-deliver, whatever it took. If that meant extending their contract, if that meant giving them more time, if that meant, you know, personal attention, whatever that meant, that if whatever I charged them, I would over-deliver. When I made that commitment in me, I then had the certainty to be able to raise my prices and just show up and give it a go and then learn as I went. And I made the leap and everything was history from there. So huge mindset thing right there. As far as tracking goes, the main metrics I see that are most critical on tracking, and I want your Core 4 calls and Core 5 calls with Kyle to begin handling this more and more, is the sales conversation. It's really awesome for us to break through our shit. It's really awesome for us to learn to love ourselves. All this is really the most important stuff. And we are physical beings on a human physical planet. And money is what, like, lubes everything and makes shit possible on this planet in this economy. So one of the fastest ways to break through your shit is to start selling your stuff. You want to face your shit, face your insecurities, question yourself, find the unloved parts of yourself, frickin' start selling your stuff. Your personal stuff, not someone else's stuff, your stuff. See how fast your shit surfaces. Most of you have been dealing with this. You either back down to this and say it's too hard and give up, or you face into it and charge forward and you face every limiting story and belief around money, around your self-worth, around sales, around marketing, around value, around rejection, and all this other shit. If you face all that and face into it and master it, you are free for life in every way. You've learned to love yourself, you've learned to heal your shit, and you now have absolute security. So the security that people hope they get by sticking their money in a bank or a CD or a 401k, or by marrying a rich person, or by some other external means, doesn't exist. It's always synthetic. It's always fake. The second it goes away, your security goes away. But when you have a security inside that is built on a foundation inside of you, it cannot be shaken. The two biggest pillars of that are unconditional love and impeccable integrity. And one of the outskirts of that is, if I know that I know how to make money anytime, anywhere, anyhow, I will never be scared of money again. If you had money delivered to you, you won the lottery, or a husband supported you, or you had a job that paid you a paycheck every week, or whatever, that's not financial security. The whole people that are scared to leave their job thing, and I know those people are not on this call, but the same shit still applies to you. Like when you're scared to really claim your program, really claim your value, really shine your light, same shit, false security in your bullshit world. So that person that's scared to leave their job because they have financial security, that their boss can call them tomorrow and say, just so you know, we're cutting back and you're going. That's their financial security. Someone else, in someone else's control. True financial security is one, I love myself so much I don't need money. I could show up anytime, anywhere, anyhow, and thrive. I could have a blast living on the streets. I'd find a nice little warm cove under a bridge or in a culvert or whatever, and like make it really nice and cozy. And then I'd wake up in the morning and see who I could serve and what value I could provide, and I would live like a fucking king. Security comes from pure, unconditional love, impeccable integrity. Then, financial security comes from the experience of knowing, not thinking, knowing. Not theory, knowing. Not an idea, an experience. That I can wake up today, find someone with a problem, solve it, create an exchange for that solution, receive money, and create whatever the hell I want at will. Now, this was a concept in my mind that I grasped from reading 100 books and attending 100 seminars, and it kept expanding and growing and expanding and growing and expanding and growing and expanding and growing. And then I applied and applied and applied and applied. The thing is if a person got wealth through scarcity, through fear-based patterns, they will still be insecure financially. They will still be worried that they're going to lose their money. It's the person who's learned to love themselves and create it from genius and clarity and peace, and then creating the experience of knowing they can create it anytime, anywhere, anyhow, that is truly free. That they're not scared to lose their money. They're like, oh shit, I might lose my money. So when they wake up and see that maybe they took a course that might be costly, they're like, okay, looks like we're going to have a tough run for a little while here. Let's get creative, and maybe it'll be even shorter than I think. But the person who built it through scarcity goes, oh shit, I knew it. Every time it gets good, something comes and wipes me out. And then that becomes their self-fulfilling prophecy. So develop certainty. If you need a short-term boost of certainty, just make it so that you trust yourself and commit 100% that you will under-promise and over-deliver, whatever it takes. And the rest will work itself out. Marcy?
So my thoughts were more around, with reading Brian's post, were more around protecting your energy around cells, or protecting your you to keep yourself up. But looking at the post, I'm not sure if that's what you're asking, Brian, and I don't know if you see his comments, Chris. So along those lines of what Chris is even saying with under-promise and over-deliver, I'll just kind of share my experiences. Along this, I guess this is what's coming up for me, is part of that is dropping the stories and attachments that you can save anyone. Like, so if someone's not showing up, then it becomes, as a coach, your opportunity to get clear on what is the blockage, what's like creating the value enough to be able to show up. But I know, like, I'm more clear on when I drop the story that I actually have the ability to save anybody, then that was a huge game changer for me. Knowing, like, every single person, I can share with them my experience. I can share with them the freedom that I have. I'm just here to share the journey that I've been down. I'm here to share the path, the process, but I cannot save them and have an expectation on them or an attachment to how they show up. I simply see it as the perfect feedback and giving them that feedback. So energy-wise, Chris, and we're about to hear what you have to, okay, so energy-wise, like this actually came up on my mastermind yesterday, and this is why I was kind of, my mind maybe went this way. So I had people say, how do you protect yourself energy-wise when you're doing so much coaching? I feel myself drained, or I feel this. For me, coaching, and you can see with Chris, it fires us up. Like it fuels us up. It's our passion. It's our, so I remember back in the day when it's like I would feel this heavy energy from coaching. And so I got to look at first step was like, okay, how do I protect my energy? Maybe I wasn't in tune or as conscious enough to not be attached, or expectations. And this is what I'm talking about, expectations. If I have an expectation of how someone shows up and I have an attachment to them in their process, or I have judgments around their stories or what they're experiencing, and I'm putting any good, bad, wrong, or right, this or that around it, there's an energy to it that I'm holding on to. So in the past, I would feel a heavy energy and could only take so much. And then so I was like, okay, what would I get to do? I get to, give myself a bubble of love and protection and energy, zip up, etc., and know that I have this protective energy around me. Also, that can be looking at how many people can I coach and fully show up. So on Tuesdays when I have my mastermind days, I coach 3 groups back to back, 36 people from all around the world. And then I notice if then after that I'm going to take on a personal client or do any more, I'm starting to lose that ability for me to stay totally present and be fully showing up. So it was just feedback to me of like, that's when I get to go, okay, that's enough for me. I get to honor myself and just balance or do something else. So it wasn't necessarily the protecting myself from taking on their negative energy, but being aware of like, where's the feedback of when I'm allowing myself to show up in passion and purpose and I'm giving. So remember, exhale and then inhale and receive. And even in between the groups, I started to create, 30-minute spaces where then I can get present, I can feed my body, I can, hence Lauren just brought me salmon and veggies, and it's like I can meditate, I can get present, and then I'm back in it, fully showing up. So I'm always, like Chris said, over delivering and always fully present. So the thought around this is when I shifted to the conscious level of not being attached to how they show up, I can take it as feedback and there's no judgments or stories or whatnot. Now, I don't even think about taking on anyone's energy because there's no idea of me having to save them. There's no attachment to what they're experiencing or energy around it. So it is what it is. I'm here to just be like, oh, this is what's showing up for you. Awesome. Let's look at that. Let's get clear. Let's create. Let's do some processes. Let's give you feedback. Let's create an action plan. And boom, it is what it is. And let's move forward. But a lot of people that aren't in that space tend to take on the energy of it. And hence you feel, so if you're feeling dragging or not able to fully be, feel fulfilled, then there's a gap there. Are you doing what you really want? Are you really living, are you settling in your zone of excellence versus your zone of genius? It's something you're good at, but you don't really love or thrive to do. Is your balance off of like how much you're taking on, or are you attached to how it's showing up? So when you do that and you're just conscious, like I'm here, I'm present, does this work for me? You should be on fire. And so you see how Chris, as he gets going, he gets on fire. You can't stop the motherfucker. Why do you think I just sit back and let it roll? All the time. Like, bring it, brother, bring it, let it roll through you. And the moment he's like, I'm done, it's done, it came through me, then I'm like, okay, I got something to say. It's like perfect because we're both just like, and see, there's no attachments of, oh, I have to show up just as much as you, or you have to show up as much as me, or we're competitive, or there's a comparison game going on here. It's just simply like, we're here in what is. We're here, we both totally love ourselves, totally know our confidence level, and we both know we have a genius in specific areas, and we want you to have as much as possible from both of us. So why would I ever do anything but allow everything that's coming through Chris when he's inspired to come through? And when I have something to say, I'll be like, I got something to say. And some days it might be nothing, and some days it might be nothing for him. But it's because we're so in our truth of what we want. So our energy is always good. Our energy is always present. And when we have something to say and you just see it come through us, we come up in this like we're on fire. So if your energy feels off from doing what you're doing, it's perfect feedback. If you're not in alignment and you're not feeling good, you're out of your true nature. Your true nature is to feel good. Your true nature is to feel fucking fantastical and awesome all the time. Your true nature is to be at peace and love, and it's like you have the gift available to you is that you have the ability to love in the deepest depths and the purest joy at all times. It's simply your choice of if you're allowing yourself to receive that inheritance from your real father, that is the wealthiest, most powerful father you could ever imagine, and how to allow yourself to be in tune with that. So it's always feedback. So for Brian, if it's whether it be how am I continuing to see, how do I show up consistently every day, and what does my schedule get to look like? I talked to Darren about this yesterday. I'm a warrior who's also a visionary. And actually, Brandon, I know you've been researching this. I have a whole series of videos I created in my phase 2 mind body stuff that teaches that discovery of yourself, which I keep thinking I'll dig up for you. But knowing I'm warrior and I'm visionary, the visionary in me does not like to be, let me put what I do like. I like uncertainty. I like variation. I want to be all over, okay? So I can't imagine being forced to sit at a desk and do a fucking job every single day. I would shoot myself. So the visionary in me also wants to play with my schedule, also wants to have fun, also wants differences. So we were talking about how do you sometimes we go, oh no, we got to implement certain things in our schedule to be, because this is the way we say it has to be, or to be the most productive, most successful. Yes, you get what you're committed to, and it becomes habit, what is good for you. So for me, I was telling Darren what my schedule looks like and what my journaling looks like and everything else, and I say, so these are the things that do feel super good that I know they're going to happen every day like this. I love to get up and I set out my intentions and say a prayer of gratitude and I go kick ass with my body because then I feel totally inspired. Then for me, I love to go, okay, now I want to like spiritually connect, meditate, have my and go to rock out my day. But the rest of my day might be like, okay, this is my chunk of time for self. This is my chunk of time for some creation. Then I meditate. Then I want to go to yoga or play. And then at nighttime, this is what this always looks like. Because always at nighttime, it looks like for me doing visualization, setting out my intentions so they're soaking in my brain all night long. I'm seeing what I'm creating tomorrow. I'm seeing what I'm creating for the future. I'm pre-paving my life. And then I'm meditating. So I'm like, those are the things that are solid because that's what feels good. But I like to have the freedom, variety, not to be like every day it has to look like this. But every day what is going to happen is that every single one of these things are going to happen, even if I play with the range and variety of it. So you get clear on, like, this is what serves me best. If I'm up early, I know I kick ass and then I can be done early in the day to play with my kids. If there's days I sleep in, then I feel a little off. So for me, it's like feedback. This is what I like. So yes, I'm going to set my alarm and I'm going to create this, but I can allow myself based on my energy and what feels good. It's always about feeling good. So if Brian, you want to be consistent, for me, I started with going, okay, every day from 2 to 4, or every day from 10 to 12, it's sales calls. Every fucking day I'm creating money. Every day I'm closing sales. Every day I'm collecting, and I'm reporting to somebody how much I collected for the day. So that becomes a consistent way. My mind's always looking, where can I create more value? How can and it becomes my evidence every day. It's my norm to collect money, to do those things. It might shift and change where you go, oh, one day is a sales call day. I'm going to rock out 4 hours of sales calls, have a nice lunch, meditate, and rock out a couple more hours of sales calls, and have other days that I get to play. So allow yourself to play so that you are in peace and freedom for it. It's aligned for you, because if anything feels like a forced have to, you're just going to sabotage it. Anything you want to add to that, Chris?
Nope, good stuff.
I had one more thing I was showing up. Hang on, I'm tuning in. Oh, that's it. I'm good.
Sweet. So Jay posted his topic he would love to cover today was staying motivated. My answer to that is a couple of things. One, if you are connected to a deep why, your holy cause, your absolute definiteness of purpose, then the motivation comes automatically. Now, there are times when I get off course or out of balance, and I am definitely connected with my purpose and my why, but it's almost like I'm consuming, like I'm moving so fast towards it, like a crater, that it's actually consuming me in the process, and I start to lose motivation from that side of things. And so the first step is make sure that you're aligned with your passion and your purpose, your why, your holy cause. The second step is if you know you're aligned with that, then and you're still kind of burning out or losing motivation, this means you don't have enough space in your world. You don't have enough, like you feel like you don't have enough time is probably something you may be going through. And no, it's not ironic, or I mean it is ironic, but it's not chance that Jay said, I got to leave the call in 45 minutes and he's no longer on. So obviously there's a lack, and Jay, I hope you're watching this, a lack of time, which equals a lack of space, which is a reflection of when we have a lack of space and time out there, it's because we have a lack of space and time in here. So the other day on one of your posts, Jay, you mentioned that you felt guilty when you decided to take a much-needed day off to spend some much-needed time with your wife, and your crew was handling the job without you, and you felt totally guilty about that happening. So there's what this tells me is that there's some mindsets in there that you believe that, you need to be there, or else you're abandoning them and whatever. I know I used to feel the same way. And so knowing whatever you got to do to clear out the stories that say it's not okay for me to have people kicking ass and doing shit, let their motivation be that they're getting paid, not that you're holding their hand. Set up the systems and the personnel so that shit runs without you. Right now, you're having a hard time. You've done well at marketing. You've done well at selling. You've got plenty of business. And now the next leap for you, Jay, is leaping from I'm the technician and the manager and the business owner to jumping to the next peak, which is I'm the business owner and I have managers and technicians take care of shit for me, and I don't feel guilty about that. So all this is a growth and scalability issue, which mostly ties to mindset stuff. Work through that shit. You will have the space to then have the time to then not be burned out, because really the lack of motivation, you're not experiencing a lack of motivation. You're experiencing a call of wisdom saying, dude, you need some time and space to chill and recharge. So in the meantime, make sure you're staying on course with your Core 4, because the first thing your mind will do is say, I don't have time for Core 4, which compounds the issue. If you don't meditate and work out and eat right, how the F are you going to have the time and energy to do shit? And now you just start slowing down. That would be like driving down the road on a trip, being in a hurry to get there and saying, I know we're almost out of gas, but I don't have time to stop for gas. Well, you're going to find out what not having time means when you run out of gas. So that's my answer to staying motivated. We got a couple people requesting avatar and niche stuff. We're going to possibly come back to that. Jonathan, I loved your question about how do I balance the difference between over-delivering versus saving them. And this is a matter of being aware, being in a good relationship with yourself and being aware of your body sensations and knowing the difference between assisting versus saving. So, and it's the difference between a drift or a shift. It's the difference between essence and the savior persona. The way you know is by the way your body reacts. If my body contracts, I'm in a drift, I'm in a persona, and there's an issue. So if a client, now what I will do is if I'm in the hero persona, my client will show up in either the victim persona or the villain persona, right? Because whatever role you're playing on the drama triangle, you're attracting the other two. So if I'm in villain, I'm going to attract victims and heroes. Someone's going to be telling me, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay, and someone else is going to be telling me, please save me, right? So, but if I'm in essence, I'm not going to attract either of those. So if I get a client who, if they're just like, hey man, respect your time and not, blah, 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 not needing or expecting anything from you or needing you to save me, but would love this, I'm like, cool, blah, 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 blah. But if I feel them like putting their tentacles into me and getting needy and dependent and having high expectations, I'll nip that shit off real quick. And I can feel it. I can feel it because my body will contract. If I start to jump on the hero square or they start to jump on the victim square, my body will contract. And if you look at that mastery sheet that I posted, the mastery sheet gives a lot of the signs, and same with the 4 pillars of integrity. It talks about, a master distinguishes between body sensations between, for example, fear and hunger, or like, stress and an authentic no, and being a hero and being in persona versus being in essence. So when you're in essence, you'll feel peace and spaciousness and flow. When you're in persona, you'll be in a contracted state. So anytime, one of the things I'm doing right now that I'm having a blast with is I downloaded an app that is an hourly reminder. So automatically I told it from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. I want a reminder to go off every hour that plays in I chose the tone that's little birds chirping. You can choose whatever tone you want. But every hour this goes off, and I'm asking myself, what am I creating right now? And you may all want to try this on. It's working very powerfully for me. So I just stop and I say, what am I creating right now? And if I'm creating any sort of tension or judgment or resistance, I go, interesting, right now I'm creating tension and judgment and resistance. Oh, that's silly. But the thing is I've caught it so quickly that it hasn't had time to gain momentum. So literally the shift becomes like faster than ever, because I'm checking in not after it's elevated to a point of, wow, I've got massive contraction in my space. I'm catching it just because I stopped and the reminder said, hey, check in. I'm like, what am I creating right now? And it is so fresh in its infancy that it didn't even have time to take roots before I caught it, and boom, game over. So it's keeping me in the game of flow, like boom, boom, boom. And then since I'm not having that drama, then my mind automatically goes, shit, look what I am creating. It's freaking amazing. I'm so powerful. Like, I'm in paradise. I'm a freaking amazing, sexy, beautiful wife who loves me and we have epic sex and passion and connection. And I have the most beautiful daughters, and I love my clients, and I love what I do, and I have plenty of money, and the frickin' weather's amazing, and I eat everything I want. Like, I literally live like a king. I drive what I want. I have the best of everything. Holy shit, look how amazing. Wow, look what I'm creating. And then I even am adding, like, and I introduced this at Goddess, and Marcy and I had a lot of fun with the goddesses with it, and we started saying, and it is good, or it is very good. Look what I created, and it is very good. I'm like, Bob. Who's Bob?
I sat down after that kick-ass 7-hour workout, and it is good.
Yes.
I stood up, and it is good. Lots of successes over little things.
And so, in the Bible, when it talked about God creating the world, it talks about, and he said, let there be light, and behold, there was light, and he said, it is good, and whatever, and he's like, and on the seventh day, he rested, and he looked at his creations, and he said, it is good. And so I've been practicing, because we talk about being like God, and we tend to think that being like God means going to church on Sunday, but I've never seen God at church. But anyway, I've felt him a few times. But the point being is, to be like God would be to like create and to align with our magnificence and to acknowledge our creations. So this is another reason why I have you guys share your appreciations, or your celebrations every day, because this is the same. Like, I'm having you guys do it once on the board, basically. I'm doing it every hour. I'm saying, what am I creating? Huh, that's awesome. Look what I'm creating. This is good. This is very good. And I looked upon my creation, and I saw that it was good. What this is doing is training my mind on a subconscious level from moment to moment to realize I'm not a victim, I'm a creator, and to appreciate the beauty of what I'm creating. It goes off all day. This morning I was eating like delicious food that we made, so perfect, all organic, highest quality, most delicious, clean eating, perfect carbs and macronutrients and proteins. I'm like, and it dings. I'm like, what I'm creating is eating like a king, sitting next to my beautiful queen with my beautiful princess over there, making us laugh with all of her cuteness. This is good. I love my creations. I'm an amazing creator. And it feels good. And the thing is when manifestation, the key to manifesting what we want, there's a scripture that said, nothing is more important than getting and keeping the Spirit of God at all times. Well, this is along the same lines as happiness is the object and design of our existence, which is along the same lines as men are that they might have joy. Well, if you combine all these and you take the be, do, have scenario of first you be this, then you will do this, and then you'll have this, versus do, have, be, then if you combine all of those principles together, you come to realize that the number one thing you can possibly, and then if you realize that the whole purpose and the only problem in life is the upper limits problem, which is life is getting too good, I can't handle it, so I sabotage it. So the way I stop sabotaging it is to create a shift as quickly as possible so that the law of averages allows me to keep climbing instead of just doing the up-down roller coaster ride of bullshit, mediocrity. So the number one thing I can do is shift back into ease and flow, which aligns exactly with nothing is more important than getting and keeping the Spirit of God. All getting and keeping the Spirit of God means is getting and keeping a state of mind and a state of being that is peace, joy, happiness, abundance, love, integrity. And I do that by shifting from moment to moment out of persona, out of the drama triangle, into ease and flow, into essence, into spirit, not into the limitations of my mind and body, into the limitlessness of my spirit, my true being. So mastering the art of the shift from the drift, if there was one thing in the world to learn, that would be it. This will raise your upper limits, this will raise your results, this will raise your thermostat and your vibration and your frequency and your joy and your money and your sex and your passion, your everything. This will send you on the path, and it requires consciousness. It requires self-actualization in the process. The process itself is the process of enlightenment. So all that, and to bring it back, Jonathan, the answer is when your body contracts, there's my little reminder. What am I creating right now? I'm creating hanging out with the most amazing people in the world that are fucking conscious and open-minded and committed, who are non-victims, who are creators, who face their shit head-on with boldness and bravery and assertiveness and love and integrity, who are open to feedback and learning, who journey with me, and we have a blast, and I get paid well to do exactly what I love and assisting others to remember their greatness. And it is very good.
Hey, Chris, you had a question of what app that is.
So there was multiple. What I searched for was hourly chime. I typed in hourly, and chime was one of the options, and then I typed in hourly reminder, and it gave me some other options. The one, I downloaded two. I downloaded one called Chime O'Clock, but I'm not actually using that one. The one I'm actually using is called AIDA Reminder, AIDA Reminder. And that one's working well for me. Megan's using the same experiment, but a different app, and she's liking hers as well. But there's about 5 main options. The AIDA one had the most positive reviews. That's why I went with it.
Perfect.
So bottom line, short answer, Jonathan, no, scan your body consistently. And anytime you notice yourself going to any hero pattern with anybody, feeling like you need to save them, or if they're getting dependent, nip that shit in the butt. Sometimes you'll have clients even say, hey, we missed last week, or we didn't get this much time in. And I'm like, listen, it's not about the time, it's about the value. So don't be afraid. Don't let your clients fucking push you around and take over your life. They don't own you. I don't give a shit what they paid you. If you need to renegotiate an agreement to have them pay less because you're not providing the value, do that. Or if you need to just reset their standard, like their expectations, be like, look, fucker, you're not entitled to my time on this way, whatever. This is what you're getting. And let's reframe this and look at it this way, because this is how it's got to be. So that everyone's clear. Otherwise, if just think of if you have a wife or a spouse who's directing, and you lose track of who you are and you're not your compass, they are. First off, you're going to lose polarity in the relationship and your sex life's going to go to hell. Second off, she's going to lose respect for you, and now you're going to start fighting. And third off, you're going to get resentful because you don't even fucking run your life anymore. Now that's just with the spouse. Now imagine having 5 high-level clients that because you feel unworthy, and you've charged them money and you feel unworthy, you're now fucking putting yourself subservient to them and second to them. Pretty soon you're no longer the leader. You're now the fucking servant as a slave to everybody, and everyone's telling you what to do, and you're just the water boy. And you put yourself in that position. So just monitor it and watch it, and make sure you keep checking back in and honoring both you and them in every moment. Under-promising, over-delivering, but never sacrificing. That's the other keys, like, to heroism. Heroism isn't serving. Essence will serve to, like, literally essence would give the physical body its life for the right cause. But not against the will or the true desire of the essence of who you are. If it's a sacrifice or a compromise, it's a hero move. If it's like something you joyously give, like absolutely would love to do that, then you're good to go. Even if you were giving way more than you promised your client. I might have said to my client, I'll meet with you once a week, and it'll be $1 million a year. They're like, okay. And then I meet with them 5 times a week. If it comes from my heart and I don't feel like I'm sacrificing myself, then we're good to go. If I'm like, oh, I need to, I have to, I should, we got issues. Okay, so along these lines, I want to hear from Marcy in a second here, but along these same lines, Brandon, you asked a question about how to call your guys out on your shit. I imagine you know the skill sets of calling them out on their shit, so I don't think this is a skill set issue. Yeah, you can refine your ability to hear voice inflections. Yeah, you can refine your ability to watch body language and tune into that. Yeah, you can improve your skill set to hear the words that people use that are victim words versus creator words so that you can more easily call them out on their shit. All that helps. But most likely the bigger issue here is one, making sure you're self-confident enough to call them out on their shit and be unattached from the outcome. If they tell you to fuck off, cool, they told you to fuck off. If they hate you for it and they don't approve of you, cool, you're fine with that. So that part of the mindset. The next piece on this is the ability to loop. And I haven't taught you guys a lot, Brandon. I've been speaking to you and you probably missed it, so go back and watch the recording. It's good stuff. So, but the ability to loop is a critical skill in this, which means, and it's something I'm going to write a post on. This morning I was going to write this as a post, but then something else came through first. And it's this. A leader can't lead worth a shit if he can't listen. If he or she can't listen. If you don't know how to actually know where your client is, if you're listening through a filter, and you're not actually meeting them where they're at, and you're too fucking busy being caught up with wanting to sound smart and tell them your ideas and your bullshit, you could actually lead. I'm watching some of the most powerful leaders out there right now guide people to total destruction. I know a key leader right now who many people fucking think is God's gift to the world, who is leading several people to bankruptcy as we speak. And as I was tuning in, I'm like, how is this happening? What's happening? And that's what popped in. It's like, holy shit, if I don't listen to my client, if I don't truly listen and meet them where they're at, then I am not qualified to guide them to where they're going. That's like a navigation system giving you guidance from where, like if from where the navigation system is at. The navigation system must give guidance from where you are, not from where the navigation system is. So, but in order to do that, the navigation, the leader, the mentor must be humble enough and have listening skills enough to listen and know where the fuck the person is, and not just be shooting advice to that person for the sake of sounding smart. You could literally guide someone to divorce, to bankruptcy, to a number of fucking results if you don't actually meet them and allow their answers to come from them. Never replace their voice with your voice. True leaders don't create followers. True leaders create more leaders. And one of the biggest ways to do that, yes, give them answers, but teach and empower them how to find their own fucking answers without you, so that they're not dependent upon you. Give them the skill sets and the ability to fucking lead themselves without you. Don't reinforce the codependent patterns. But number one, fucking listen. Meet them where they're at so you can guide them accurately. Now, Brandon and everybody, this skill called looping is one where if you start to pay attention of we call it loop of awareness. So if I were to stop right now, everyone stop right now and just tune in and see what you're experiencing. It's similar to this reminder on my phone. It's saying, hey, check in, see where you're at. Because chances are I'm looped in. Like when this went off 5 minutes ago, I was looped out into what was your experience and what was I sharing with you, right? And then it invited me, loop in, see what's happening in here. And so I checked in, I'm like, oh, this is what's happening. I'm happy and I'm powerful and creative and this is blah, 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 right? So if I'm interacting with you and I don't know where I'm at, if I lose where I'm at, I can no longer serve you. For instance, if, there's been cases where I've worked with rape victims or people who have been through massive trauma. If I get so caught up in their trauma, I join them in their trauma, I get lost in the river with them, I can't guide them out of that river. But if I'm disconnected from them and don't know how to actually be where they're at, then I can't actually guide them from where they're at. If I'm just like, because the traditional therapy model, this is the problem with traditional therapy, is they've been trained and conditioned to say, separate yourself from the client and their issues, and sit on a pedestal, and they're over there, and you're the leader. This is not an equal relationship. You're the authority figure, and you must be the authority figure who's separate from the client. And this is something mentors tend to do. Like ego wants this bad. It doesn't want to meet people as equals. But remember, relationships only exist between equals. Anything else is an entanglement. So even as my client, if we're not viewing each other as equals, you a badass who's shining in your genius skills and abilities, me a badass who's shining in my skills and abilities as equals, meeting here for awesomeness, then we're screwed. We're in an entanglement. If I put myself as above you, or better than you, or holier than you, or whatever, we're in an entanglement. That's the difference between, one of the big differences between coaching and therapy. Therapy is, I'm the authority, I'm bigger, I'm higher than you. I'm up here. So looping in says, I'm going to meet you where you're at, and I'm going to know where you're at, and then I'm going to ask quality questions to help you find your own answers and guide you out of that. And yeah, I have the ability to give advice and teach and train. Yeah, that's important too for guidance, but ultimately your answers need to come from yourself, and my job is to empower you to be able to act from that place. So looping goes like this. To practice and enhance your skills and abilities in the loop, to stay in the game, I'll teach you a process, but I guess I get to set the context a little more. If I get lost in the emotion of the person's experience, then I can't help them. But if I disconnect and disassociate from their experience, I can't help them either. So, and this is the difference between empathy versus compassion. Compassion says, I suffer with you. Empathy says, I'm well aware of your suffering, I'm here with you, but I'm not choosing to suffer with you. Me suffering with you doesn't serve either of us. But me feeling whatever comes up, I might feel sad, I might feel scared, I might feel a whole array of feelings, but rather than like telling myself I need to totally suffer with you, I just feel that whatever feelings surface and allow them to move through, and then whatever feelings don't surface, then I don't worry about it. But I just be with you where you're at and then guide you to where you want to be. So a practice to be able to do this so that I'm not either removed or absorbed, but I'm just in relation with, is this loop of awareness. And the way you practice this is to start to notice how often am I getting caught totally looped out into what the person in front of me is thinking and feeling. How often am I getting caught up in what I'm thinking and feeling and losing track totally of what's happening in front of me? And then how often can I switch back and forth and say, oh, interesting, looks like they're experiencing this. What am I experiencing? Oh, got it. Okay, now what are they experiencing now? Oh, that's cool. Interesting. Oh, and now what am I experiencing? Back, forth, a constant loop of awareness where it's in, out, like the waves of an ocean. In, out, in, out. So I'm aware of you, and then of me. I'm aware that you just swallowed and you probably feel sad, and then what do I notice? In me. And then what do I notice in you? And then what do I notice in me? And what do I notice in this light? And what do I notice in me? And what do I notice in the tree? And what do I notice in me? And what do I notice in the weather? But then what do I notice in me? So that my awareness goes outside of me, then inside of me in a constant flow, so that I'm not lost either outside myself or in my own little world inside myself, but I'm connected to both constantly. I get in the habit of being present with my outside world and my inside world on a consistent and regular basis. It's just, and so that I can navigate the waters of the earthly experience with precision and accuracy. Now the practice is, and everyone practice this right now, breathe in and notice what you notice in you. Scan your body for body sensations as you breathe in. Notice what you notice in you. And now slowly breathe out and notice what you notice in someone else or something else in your space. Either someone on this call or someone else in your room or something else in your room. Notice something outside of you and the fine qualities of it, what they might be experiencing, what they might be feeling. And then breathe back in and loop back in. Now what do you notice about what's happening inside of you? And now loop back out and notice what you notice is happening outside of you. And then back in. Now, and so if you practice, that's a great practice. Is every time I'm breathing out, every time I think of this, when I breathe out, loop out to something, and then in the next breath in, loop into me, and start to refine your ability to loop back and forth and keep the flow. If I'm in an argument and I'm totally lost in my experience, I'm going to keep fighting and be in the drift. If I'm in an argument and totally lost in their experience, keep fighting and be in the drift. If I can connect to both, flow. In a coaching experience, if I'm connected to their experience and my experience, then I can meet them from a powerful place. If I'm only connected to my experience, then they're going to get lost in the woods. If I'm only connected to their experience, I'm going to get lost in the woods. Sean Malone or anyone else doing speaking presentations, if I can't loop with the group, I'm screwed. Like if I notice one dude's bored and judging the hell out of me, and then that starts to send me into a drift, and I can't loop in and shift that, then it will throw my entire presentation off. Right? So if I'm aware, look, this person's totally into it. This person's halfway here. This person hates me and wants to kill me and shake me right now. And then and then I look inside of me and I'm like, what am I noticing? Oh, I'm feeling scared that he don't like me and accept me. I'm feeling excited that they really love me. I'm feeling kind of like scared that these guys won't like me. Okay, interesting. Maybe quick reframe. Doesn't matter what any of these guys think. Can I be okay if none of these guys like me and none of them sign up? Yes, I can. Great. Good to go. My job is to show up and rock the house. Boom, rock the house. But also, if I'm in a group, and I love seeing your guys' faces on this call and seeing your comments and your posts, because then I can loop into your experience, loop into mine, and meet you from that powerful place and create magic. So all of this to say, Brandon, on your sales calls, if you loop into them and know where they're really at and meet them from that deep place, not just surface level and not just playing a game and not just thinking I need to call them out on their shit. Really what you're there for is to meet them where they're at, discover what their problem is, offer a solution, and sometimes that's calling them out on their shit. But it's about being looped in to truly meet them where they're at and make a change, truly provide value. That's the real answer. And make sure you watch the recording because there's some other things I said that were valuable. Marcy, do you want to add anything?
Not to the looping in. I think that's super powerful, and I can just say how powerful it's been even for my personal clients, and like what Chris is doing to. Sometimes like I learned this from Chris. Every time getting on a call, instead of like, okay, so what are your thoughts? What's coming up? Blah 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 blah. Is like literally just taking a minute and looping in and going like, what am I feeling in my body? Scanning it, getting super present. And that has led us to the most powerful breakthroughs to just, your body will never lie. Your body will always tell you what's going on. The thoughts that are really there, the emotions. So emotions are actually, your body will always show up before thoughts actually show up. But we kind of think it's reversed. From the time we're little, emotions show up for a child first. And they'll feel emotions, and you can ask them, what are you feeling? And sometimes Gavin's like, I don't know. And I'm like, awesome. You know, what? And yet it takes a minute for the thoughts to come up. And yet then we reverse it to, a lot of times when I'm getting clear with people and they don't know what they're thinking or feeling, it's like the thought helps us find out what they're feeling. And so as adults, we've almost lost that connection to it so much that we just tend to go, well, this was the thought, and then allow ourselves to feel. But you're actually feeling before you're ever even aware of it. So when you just allow yourself practice this, it's just like practicing becoming conscious is retraining your mind. It's retraining yourself to be present, to be conscious into, wow, what was the thought? What was the perception? How am I reacting? What am I responding to? And so this practice is so powerful to just, wow, allow yourself to stop from the go, go, go to go, presence. What is going on? And so I'm just reaffirming that it's an extremely powerful process. If you guys can add this into your life, it's led to some of the most deepest breakthroughs for my clients because it helps us see what's really going on. And a lot of times has nothing to do with what they think is going on, which is super awesome.
Awesome. So Jonathan, you asked earlier when I was talking to Sean Malone about the presentation, how do you close? Do you set it up for one-on-one combos after? Sometimes I set it up for one-on-one combos after, but it's not ideal because you had them in the peak state right there already. You're way better off to capitalize right there than to have to go through it all over again and then consume all that time to do it. So the close that I did on that scenario was, I'm going to pass out these forms, and the form was, here's the program, here's the solution, here's how it works. This is the price. Fill out this form if you're in, or for the first there's only 10 spots. Go to the back of the room to get your spot, or there's a lot of different versions of how to do that. It's really just gauging the group and the scenario. If it's a smaller group, I might have one-on-one conversations. If it's a smaller group with bigger ticket, I'd probably have one-on-one conversations. If it's a larger group with smaller ticket, I'm probably creating scarcity by saying, you know, I'm only going to take, and I would not purposely just scarcity, but like choosing, I'm only going to launch one group out of this, and I'm going to cap it at 9 because I can only fit 10 people on the Google Hangout, and so I'm going to cap it at 9, and so I've got 27 people in the room, and I've got, here's the deal, guys, I've only got 9 spots, and then the first 3 people to the back of the room are going to get a free one-on-one session with me, or whatever, some bonus, so that I get some people acting fast, because there's always early adopters, so that I can say, for those of you who know you're done playing the game, the price of the program, I know other programs that charge $10,000 down and $2,500 a month for this exact same system in other parts of the world, whatever. And for my program, and it's totally worth it. And I've been participating in a program where I'm paying, you know, substantially more. But right now, tonight, for the people at this event, at event pricing only. If you come to me tomorrow, it's going to be double the price. No questions asked. But for those who sign up right now, I like to reward people who take action. And I like to sort out the difference between the action takers and the non-action takers, because the action takers get results. So I want to find the action takers in the room. And so there's 9 spots. And the first 9 people that get back there and claim them are going to have them, and the rest of you will have to either continue on not getting the results you want, find another way, or else catch me on my next go-around, which I'm not sure when it's going to be. So there's 9 spots available, and although this is worth more than $10,000 down and $2,500 a month, I'm only charging $2,500 down and $500 a month. And for the first 3 people at the back of the room that sign up, I'm offering a free one-on-one game clarification process that typically costs over $1,000 or over $500. I'm going to offer that for free for the first 3 people, or whatever other bonus. I'm going to throw in this epic CD or this or that or whatever for the first 3 people. Boom, 3 people run to the back, another wanders back, another, boom, you got your 9 people and you're on your way. So there's multiple ways, and really the answer is, you know, what way do I want to use? How many people will I have? What scenario fits? And then just creating it accordingly. Okay, so the other most important thing I want to talk about is Darren Casey's referrals. So Darren Casey was offering, he's been offering like $1,000 referral fee. And there's, you know, he has high-end clients and they're not motivated. They're like, yeah, like $1,000 doesn't get them excited to go reach out and refer them. So, and someone was saying, well, could you give them more? Would you be willing to give them more? And he's like, no, not really, and I don't think it would motivate them. And Darren, you're absolutely right. They're not gonna become motivated to sell your shit for $1 point. It's got to be deeper than that. So what you want to do is have effective conversations with them and say, hey, so rather than, hey guys, I'll give you $1,000 for referrals, like right now, if I told all you guys, hey guys, I'll give you $1,000 for referrals, the chances are 1 or 2 of you might give me 1 or 2 referrals. But if I said, hey guys, here's the deal. You guys know me, you love me, we've been working together, we've had an awesome experience, and I'm ready to bring on my next group and fill up my next group. And I know that you guys know people in your world that you would like to level up. So I'm going to be reaching out to each one of you to get this referral situation handled so I can fill my group and so you can have your network up level. It's going to be good for all of us. So guys, start compiling a list of the top 5 people that you know that would hugely benefit from working with me. And then I'll be reaching out to you over the course of the next week. We'll have a one-on-one conversation about who those are and come up with a solid game plan about how to move forward with each of those people. Then I reach out to each one of you individually. Okay, Jonathan, who are your top 5? Boom, 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 boom. All right, thanks, man. So let's talk about this Jane chick. Where's she at? What's she dealing with? And how can I best serve her? And what's the best way to connect with her? Would it be messenger? Would it be phone? Would it be text? Would it be email? Would it be a three-way call with the two of us where you introduce us? Would you introduce us on a messenger thread first and then convert it from there? What would be the fastest and easiest way to build the safety and make the introduction and you endorse me to have that come about? Okay, that's clear on Jane. Let's set an action plan. Can we do that tomorrow? Perfect. Okay, now how about Jack? Oh, a little different. He's not on Facebook? Okay, yeah, he don't like texting and mail and technology? Perfect. So probably a phone call. But he's probably going to be weird as hell if I call him out of the blue and say, hey, my name's Christopher. I'm Jonathan's friend. Want me to sell you my shit? And he's like, why the hell are you calling me now? I'm just another telemarketer. So instead of that, would you be willing to get on a three-way call? First you reach out, sell him on getting on a call with me. Then we'll get on a three-way call. You'll endorse me. And then he and I will have a conversation and we'll go from there. Would you be willing to do that? Yeah? Cool. Thank you. How about you, first action step, you message him, set up a call with him, tell him why it's so valuable. If he enrolls and chooses in, then you get back with me, let me know the best time, and then we'll follow through with that. Perfect. So notice it's all like specific action where I'm not leaving it to chance. I'm reaching out to each one of you, because I could do this right fucking now. I could say, this week I want to bring in 10 clients, and rather than marketing, I'm going to do it through referrals, and I'm going to reach out to just the people on this call and have this kind of conversation, and I'm going to figure out who the people are you want to refer, and then I'm going to get you committed to taking a specific action that's going to help me make that as easy and effective and as warm of a lead as possible. Guarantee you I can make 10 sales this week just on you people right here on this call. So same thing for all of you. When you want referrals, people love to give referrals to people that rock their world, but they won't do it if you don't ask, and most people are already busy and don't follow through on half the shit anyway. So don't leave it to chance to just hope that somebody is highly motivated to receive your $1,000. Instead, fucking reach out and connect and have the conversations and create clear actions and clear agreements and clear all of that so that you're taking 100% responsibility for that process instead of leaving it on their shoulders. Does this make sense? Any questions about this? Valuable? Awesome. Yep. The last thing on my list is avatar clarity and niche. That was requests from Jonathan and Marcia. Anything else from any of you? Marcy, anything on your mind?
I told you the things kind of coming up for me before, depending on what the group was wanting, was just, I think it kind of applied to when Brandon was talking about even calling people on their shit and just more being authentic, being in your truth, being able to stand up. Like, so what had come up for me, I was telling Chris, was it reminded me of the process we did out. You guys, if some of you guys saw the videos from Goddess, we got we got a lot of haters from the Facebook post with the Chris hitting the punching bag, you know, and some people like, that was just crazy, that was too much, that was intense. Other people, but yet what was interesting, I told Chris, is I had so many people message me, and this is where organic Facebook marketing, just being real and us showing up fully. Did we worry about what we were screaming or saying or how we were yelling or what we were showing up as? And even this is a perfect reflection to me of like how Chris was just describing, looping in to their experience and being present, but also being able to not be attached. It's like that balance, because with that experience with Colleen and him hitting the bag, I knew Chris had his own shit coming up and his own stuff, and yet he was trying to be present, and yet would want to go into almost like save her because she was just so broken down, and it's like us totally fully being like, what's the best thing for this process? But so what was coming up for me is, guys, I got so many people that messaged me that do want what we do from seeing that and saying, holy shit, you know, and even like Morris reaching out and appreciating me that I show up the way that I do is like, when you just stand in that truth. So Brandon, I think it's just a matter of going, fuck, am I speaking up for what I hear when I hear their bullshit stories? Am I fully showing up authentically in every single way? Am I conscious enough and okay with myself enough to not give a fuck what anybody else thinks and what their perceptions might be? Because we had a lot of people that were like, that's crazy. You know, you guys that was insane, that was too much, and yet for the person, the results show up when you looked at her texts or her responses to what she experienced is, she's a completely different person in 5 minutes from us showing up that way and going through that process. So the thought for me was just that the whole process behind that was that a goddess, and same thing for a god, a man who stands in his full power and his truth, and a woman who stands in her full power and truth, does not cower nor attack to powerful energy. And if you guys watch that video, it's super powerful to see when how she's just broken and she's and she's wanting to be the victim, and she was in her personas and wanting Chris to just stop because he could see that she was broken. And when I called her on her shit, where I'm like, are you really hurt, or is this just energy? And you decide how to face this energy. And at the end, it was so fucking powerful to see when she just held her ground and she was like, you're right. He does not hurt me. This does not hurt me. I am the source of my experience. And you could see from before where his punches would affect her whole body getting thrown around. And as soon as she stood in that presence and power, Chris's punches, it's like we didn't even move. It's completely solid. It's like this energy guard she created out of loving herself completely made her presence. And she went from the shaky voice and the I'm in fear and I'm going to get hurt to just like, oh my gosh, you really can't hurt me. Like, I choose for myself what I want to experience. So this is my thought on a more of a mental note for you, Brandon, with that question is, you don't cower nor attack to what shows up in front of you. So if people have bullshit stories, there's ones, and this is also what's perfect, and this kind of plays it out for you too, Jonathan, asking the question of where do you go, where's that fine line between fully showing up and not being attached. So like I had a guy yesterday who makes millions, and he's in my group that's supposed to start today, and messages yesterday and says, I'm just not going to be able to do it, I saw red flags all along of him not, you know, there's that he asked for a guarantee on our sales call at the end, and I said, I don't give fucking guarantees. Because that just tells me you want a guarantee of somebody to save you. I can't guarantee how you're going to show up. I guarantee I will show up. I guarantee I will under-promise and over-deliver because I know the value that I bring and I know how I will show up for you, but I can't guarantee how you're going to choose to show up. And that's what I'm talking about by not saving them, Jonathan, is just to say, you know, I'll provide the path and I'll always call you on your bullshit, but you got to be committed. And so you get clear on like, well, who do I want in my space? And like Chris is saying, this is only for people who are committed. That just assists me in getting more clear. But in that, so in the process, I get to call them on a shit over and over and over again, and where it's like people want to, you know, they want to throw up their hands and be like, fuck that, fuck you, da-da-da-da-da. I'm willing to go that round. I'm willing to go to that space. Not go, well, I don't want to upset them. They're paying money, da-da-da. I'm like, I don't fucking want to work with you if this is how you're going to show up. I'm here to be truthful to you in every single way, and how if it ends up that they're like, I don't want anything to do with you, it's protection. Because it wasn't, they were going to fall out anyways. They were going to find those excuses and those stories and those reasons. So how it's going to those full lengths of I'm not going to cower nor attack to what shows up in presence. I'm going to fully show up in my power and my energy, and however they choose to respond doesn't affect me because I am in choice of what I choose to experience. But that's what was coming up for me and reminding me of that, the powerful space of just showing up fully authentic, showing up fully in your truth, is that you don't cower nor attack. You just are in what you know to be true. So Brandon, I'd say loop in, like Chris just taught, loop in when that's showing up for you, where you feel like, how do I call them on their bullshit? I'm kind of hearing these stories and they're saying this, but and loop in like, wow, I'm feeling nervous to say this because I'm afraid I'll offend them or I won't get the money or whatever. It's like, that's perfect feedback for you. Like, whoa, wow, so what do I get to do? I get to show up fully here. Because you can't become that powerful coach until you're willing to go the rounds and you're willing to go fully all out. So what did we do for her is what mattered. Her life got changed in 5 minutes. Do I give a fuck what 50 other people on Facebook that saw it from the outside and have no idea what her pain was, her shit was, how her entire life had been built around that they didn't know what we were doing, they didn't know anything about this. Do I give a fuck what they think? No. Because I'm there to overpromise and underdeliver, overdeliver and underpromise, be there for her fully. So that meant dropping any other story. So that just felt like a great example to you of remembering that.
Appreciate you speaking on that, Marcy. And the power of that process, so first off, that was hard as hell for me. And it was surprising how many people made up judgments about it. Like, people said that I wasn't even hitting the bag hard and I was pulling my punches. and
we even edited that bitch down. Yeah. You probably went for 9 minutes straight.
Yeah, like they even, yeah. So, so everyone had all kinds of stories and judgments about what happened. Some people said it was too damn hard and intense. Other people said, that was just bullshit and whether it would even stick. And other people said I was pulling my punches and it didn't even hurt. And others were like, punch Marcy in the face, that loud bitch in the back talking, running her mouth. So everyone had their different stories and judgments about the experience. But it was effing phenomenal to watch her go from the victim who had had multiple traumas in her past and hadn't learned to claim her power to, like, literally 5 minutes later, she was like, and the rest of the weekend, she was a completely different person. Yeah. It was just tremendous to watch. And along those lines, guys, like, Badass Breakthrough Adventure is coming. And we put out the links to you guys, and we're starting to go public, and we've had a bunch of you watch the videos and click and opt in and whatever. And
I had 2 sign-ups today, Chris.
Awesome.
2.
Boom. And a couple at Goddess, several of the Goddesses jumped in, so they're going. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the people who didn't make it to Cancun are going. And a bunch of you have said, I'm in, let's work out the details. So, guys, like, this is an online forum. We cover a lot of content. We cover a lot of mindset and skill sets and environments and all this stuff. And the total immersion experience of going there live and frickin' diving in, all in, out in nature, away from all the bullshit, face-to-face, toe-to-toe, facing your shit, stepping out of your comfort zone, live and in the experience, fully immersed for an entire week, is like the biggest boost of frickin', I don't even know, like rocket fuel ever. And half of you on the call have experienced this. I can see Brandon and James and Jonathan who can absolutely attest to this. I know Darren's somewhere over there, maybe on the back end. He's been having a hard time getting on. But guys, seriously, get your asses to have a Supai with us. We're going to backpack in 10 miles. We're going to set up camp. We're going to gather up. Imagine all the badasses at both level 1 and level 2 being there, as well as all the goddesses and several of the warriors and a bunch of other high-level entrepreneurs, business owners, and creators, conscious creators, rocking it out. We're going to have myself and Marcy and Kyle and a couple of other powerful facilitators and frickin' just having a blast out in the elements, cutting all the shit and going deep as deep. Releasing deep-ass traumas, gaining massive clarity, breaking through your shit faster than, like if you haven't been to a full immersion experience like Cancun, you can't even imagine what takes place in that week's worth of time. A lot of these guys on the call, from Jonathan came back and made his first $20,000 sell within the first few weeks. Brandon came back and opened up a bunch of shit. Brian Johnson, I think, made his $50,000 sell within the first 3-4 weeks.
Yep.
Brian Erickson fucking skyrocketed, went from in the depths to just totally kicking ass. That was the pivotal changing moment. I can't overemphasize the importance of doing whatever the hell it takes to get your ass there. So, clear call to action. If you want to be there, message myself or Marcy. If you know how to get there, say, here's my payment shit, get my spot reserved, I'm ready to roll. If you want to be there but you don't know how to get there, message us anyway and say, I want to be there but I don't know how. And then we'll talk.
Awesome.
So guys, make sure and follow through on that. If you want to be there, message myself or Marcy today. Whether you know how to be there or not. Don't get caught up in the know-how. Messages. 12:42. Last two things on my list are avatar clarity and niche. Anything from you, Marcy?
No, that was all that was coming through me right now.
Okay, let's see what wants to happen. Let's open up for Jonathan and Marcia to ask your questions. Jonathan, go ahead and ask your questions around it. And I know I want to affirm what Jonathan said. Like, this is what Jonathan does. He knows this shit. And sometimes when you're lost, like, that's what you do. You can't see the forest for the trees. So this is just outside perspective. It's like Jonathan knows more about this shit than I do. The only difference is I know how to ask questions and look at it from the outside perspective and help guide. If anything, it might be just guiding him to his answers, and then maybe that'll help Marcia get her answers. Okay, go ahead, Jonathan.
Epic. So, are you going to be able to, like, punch me while we're in the Grand Canyon?
I will, Jonathan. I will. Why would Chris punch you when I'm around?
Chris can hold me and hug me and be like, "It's that boobs."
Never know. And I'll ass grab you too. I'll punch you, I'll hug you, and I'll ass grab you. Guaranteed.
Awesome. Yeah. So for me, awesome, James. Yeah. So the last couple days have just been trying to figure out, okay, what's my niche? I love doing what this is. I love doing what you do, Christopher, what you do, Marcy. That's what attracted me to you guys. A few years ago, I started going down that path, and I felt like, no, I need to start a real business, and told myself all those games. And I started doing that in the marketing niche, and I'm good at it, but I don't love it. So my question is, like, how can I market effectively and in a leveraged way, in like a niched in way, where I'm not just like another Me Too type of thing. So where I'm at right now is kind of like, I'm pretty passionate about millennials. I didn't even know what that word meant like 6 months ago, even though I am one. So I've been doing research, and just like a lot of them are just totally lost. They're really overwhelmed. They're kind of indifferent. They have tons of college debt. So I guess I'm telling myself a story that they don't have money. So I need to market to people who have money. But I don't know. I'm just kind of lost on like what niche I want to go after. So there's a lot more that I could say, but I guess that's where I would start.
Anything you want to go with, Marcy, or you want me to just take it?
Go for it. I'll fill in.
Okay. Interestingly enough, a couple things happening for me. One is kind of a woo-woo approach for you that's actually been super helpful for me. there's a chick I know who does a reading. It costs me $200 or $300. I don't know what it is. And she tunes into what they call the Akashic records, which is like basically these records in the cosmos. If you watched Interstellar, it's basically what he tapped into in Interstellar. Basically, that was probably most likely whoever in Hollywood was portraying that movie did some studies or had some understanding about some quantum physics as well as some spiritual theory and things like that. So basically, I heard of this woman. I know all these powerful psychological processes and questions to help someone identify their genius and purpose. Well, half that shit I learned from a coach that was awesome in my life. Well, that coach who helped me learn most of that attended a workshop and retreat after she helped me discover my passion, purpose, and genius, and I watched her do it for hundreds of others. And she attended a workshop with this woo-woo chick who went from being divorced with children and broke to making $3 million a year in the first 3 years after she got divorced, doing woo-woo shit. She was not a business coach. She was not marketing coach. She was not even a breakthrough coach. She was a woo-woo chick who did woo-woo readings. And her claim is she taps into the Akashic records, which is like the heavenly records, if you might call it that, or like just the cosmos, like all the shit of everything everywhere. You could call it the interwebs of all creation.
Yeah.
And she taps into that and gives people readings on different things. Well, my coach who attended her event was blown away. She's like, holy fuck. I watched her at this event. There was 100 people at this event, and I watched her one at a time create clarity, like on their purpose, on their sole purpose, just like this, like fucking 5 to 10 minutes each person, like boom, boom, boom. And one of the messages of that woman was, if you're not, because people would stand up and take the mic and they'd say, hi, I'm Jane, and I already know my purpose, but I just wanted some clarity on blah, 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 blah. And the woman would be like, okay, how much money are you making currently? Well, I only made $20,000 last year. Okay, then you're not aligned with your purpose.
Yeah.
And she's like, if you're truly aligned with your purpose, money is happening just like boom, 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 boom. And so you're not clear on your purpose and your message. So, and then the lady would tap in and she would just nail them. She'd be like, boom, 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 rapid fire, and they'd be like, holy shit, and people would leave there in 5 minutes of talking to this chick, and they would be clear on their passion and purpose and go home and kick ass. So my coach that had taught me all this had that experience and then came home and then recommended that I hire that woman, which I didn't do at the time because, fancy this, I wasn't making enough money because I wasn't aligned with my passion and purpose. It's one of those, I'll hire the chiropractor as soon as I can afford to, as soon as my back feels better situation. So what I did, though, is I waited. I'm like, shit, okay, how can I afford this? And I didn't create the solution right away. But then one of that lady's students I saw her make an offer online, and I liked that student, and it was at a price. I'd actually started making a little more money, and her price was cheaper because that other lady was charging like $1,000 or a couple $1,000 an hour or something. This other lady was doing it for $200 or $300. I think at the time she said, I'm going to be charging $200 or $300. I'm offering an introductory price of $100. So I think my first reading with her was $100, and I think my last reading with her was a few hundred or something. Anyway, so there's this lady I can connect you with. Her name's Suzanne, and this is for all of you. We've got a couple Utahns who are in the house smiling, knowing what I'm talking about. So she did a couple readings for me, but one of them was on my purpose, and specifically like who I'm meant to serve, and she even gave me key words to use in my marketing message that will trigger my people, and all kinds of shit. Then I got another reading from her that gave me there was like measurables. There was a graph and a scale that she checked into energetically. She's like, on this thing, you're rated from here to here, and then here to here, and here to here. And one of them is on exclusivity. I was rated at 98%. I was the highest rating when it came to coaching and leading. I was the highest rating she had ever seen on exclusivity. Literally I was 98%, meaning only 2% I'm meant to serve of people. And she told me a lot about what energy centers I come from, like what I lead with, from a chakra energy center base. So typically we know there's like 7 chakras. Well, there's also an 8th that is newer to awareness, which is tapping into the cosmic all-knowingness, right? Something like that. So she gave me a breakdown of all the different energy centers, and then told me the ones that a specific ranking for which centers I came from, which I was like 6, 7, and 8. I was all in the higher realm frequencies, which is rare as well. So other people have that. It's not completely rare. And then I have like 15% in the 8th energy center, which is pretty high. But the 6th is like the voice, so speaking is part of my purpose, right? 7th is like, I think it might be 3rd eye or crown, or I probably have these backwards. It might be 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, I think it is. So I had strongness in the 5th, which means I'm supposed to be speaking and teaching. Anyone agree with this? That I have access to 3rd eye to tap into source, right? And I have access to all-knowing wisdom. Basically, the kind of like Akashic Records, like I have access to just all-knowing wisdom. But that was only like 15% of my energy was there. My strongness was like 3rd eye and then throat or something like this. So I'm meant to speak about higher consciousness. And I'm able to share and guide people through all-knowing access to the answers of the universe. I can connect with anybody about pretty much anything and gain access to their answers and help them get access to them as well. So a lot of that was incredibly helpful. Earlier this week, I went and re-listened to the recording again. And I check back in with it every 6 months or so, sometimes less, to help me know where I'm going, what I'm doing. So if you'd like her information to contact her and get a reading on that, then message me directly, anybody and everybody, and I'll get you connected with her. So I think that's the biggest thing that came up for me, Jonathan, with you. The other thing was more along the lines of what I was saying earlier about looping and listening as a leader. The same mentor I mentioned earlier who's guiding people to bankruptcy, I was asking myself, how the hell is that happening? Because he knows his shit, and he's smart, and he's kicking ass himself. How is he guiding these guys to frickin' fail? And the answer that came to me when I tapped into Source was, he's not listening and looping. So even if he has the answers, but he doesn't know where the fuck you're at, and he's not guiding you from where you're at, he could be totally brilliant and know what to do for himself, but if he's not meeting you where you're at, he can guide you wrong. And how does this apply to your niche? Because you were told, work with people who make money. I was told, don't be a breakthrough coach, be a business coach. Well, I kind of am a business coach, but I'm a business breakthrough coach, right? So be careful the advice you receive out there, because most of that advice, especially from marketers and salespeople, are completely disconnected from looping and listening. They don't love themselves. They're not connected to higher spirituality or values, and so they're guiding you from something someone else told them that was a whole clan and tribe of people that are in the business to make money more than they are to make a difference. Even if sometimes they say they're in the business to make a difference, they just say that because then it pulls on people's heartstrings. And then the other thing is if you got that reading about on the scale about what percentage of exclusivity, I'm still tuning into what does she mean by exclusivity? Does this mean that I'm only meant to work with the highest, most successful people? Or does this mean I'm only meant to work with the most conscious, open-minded people who are extremists to go off the deep end? I'm not sure on that, so I'm continuing to be in the wonderment about that, right? What does the 98th percentile mean? I might be better served. So the same with you. Maybe you want to work with rich people, maybe not. Maybe you're able to inspire 1,000 broke people to pay you $100 a month, and you make $100,000 a month and make a massive difference in their world for a very small investment. Or maybe you only work with $500,000 clients and make $500,000 a year doing it. I don't know. But if you got some readings from her and then tuned in and check in with your own answers and all this, I think it'll help you to wrap your mind around it and gain more clarity. Helpful? Awesome.
Very much so. Thank you so much.
And then typically also, even though our marketing and sales mentors and business mentors tell us to go for the rich people, at the end of the day, your mess is your message, right? And you came to learn what you came to teach. So if I'm trying to work with rich people, they're not, if I'm at a frequency of 92.5 and they're at a frequency of 102.5, they will not hire me. And I need to be on the higher frequency in them in an area that they actually know they want. So if the rich person doesn't want enlightenment, he doesn't want, you know, there's a lot of people that I could help tremendously. There's a ton of warriors who have a ton of money who I could help tremendously. But they don't want it. They want more money and more sex with hot chicks. Right? So, and if they don't believe that my path will get them there, they don't give a fuck what I have to say. Now, I've got some warriors starting to come around after they've tried all the other shit, and they're like, I want something deeper. Like one of the guys that's reaching out right now is like, you know, so-and-so told me to do this path, and I've been doing that, and now I'm finding I'm making money, but I'm empty, and it means nothing to me, and I just want to fucking destroy it all. And I'm like, interesting, more validation about the lack of looping and listening, and instead guiding from what I think you should do versus getting clear on what the fuck are you guided to do from inside of you. What lights your fire? What aligns with your passion and purpose? Who are you? Let's build it from there, not who I am. I don't need you to be a mini-me. I need you to be the best version of you. So tapping into all of that and kind of like set aside all the shit you've been told about how to be successful and who to serve and how to do that, and like go to a deeper place than here. This guy, he's been running an online business. He's got it dialed in and mastered where he makes money day in and day out online. But he wants something deeper now. He wants to actually align with his passion and purpose. And now as I've been looking at it, I'm seeing almost every other person that has gone through this coaching program is experiencing the same thing. They've all been taught and trained to be mini-me's, and none of them have actually aligned with their passion and purpose. And the guys that have quit and moved on, we have this forum that's like the graduates of that program, and we're having conversation about this, and everyone on there is like, shit, I was guided and coached and mentored to take this path, and now I'm realizing that isn't actually what I want. One of the guys, his brother just committed suicide, and that's what woke him up. He's like, fuck this, I'm not gonna be a fucking business coach. I know how to, I was miserable. I used to be a fucking drug addict. This is him saying it. I used to be a miserable drug addict, and my coach told me, no, be a business coach, be a business coach. And I'm like, fuck no. The message that's coming up through me is to help other people who are unhappy and addicted to learn to be happy. Same thing from another guy who's a marketer that half you guys know, online. On our private forum right now, he's saying, fuck, all this time I've been told, be a marketing coach, be a marketing coach. And this whole time I've been struggling with alcohol. And now he's like, now I realize what I get to do is fucking help me overcome my own shit and then help others overcome that. So if your mentor is guiding you to fucking be them, there's a problem. Loop. And then put all that shit aside and check back in here and serve from your heart What have you overcome that you can help others overcome that would bring you the most joy? Who would you most enjoy serving? Serve from there. And the good news about that is it evolves over time. In fact, I was inspired. I may write a book about this sometime. I called it Giving Up. But rather than giving up, it's giving up. And so I receive gifts, and I overcome shit. Then I turn around and give those gifts away and help others overcome that same shit. And they pay me to do that. Right? And then I hire mentors above me who have accomplished shit that I want to accomplish. And they help me keep progressing, and I keep reaching back and helping the people who haven't made the progress I've made in that place. But the only way I progress to the next level is by giving away what I've received at this level. Then I get the means to invest, to gain more, to give more, to receive more, to go higher. So giving up, giving away what I've gotten. So when I was trying to, I was told I needed to be a high-level coach for high-level dudes. When I was trying to be that, when I didn't actually feel aligned with that, then I couldn't. I had to start from where I was at, giving and giving, and then it builds upon itself until your frequency passes their frequency. And anyone who has a lower frequency or is a few steps down the mountain from you in any given area, you're qualified to coach them, and they will hire you. Marcia, is this helpful? Any other questions, Marcia? We're at time.
Yeah, I want to get that information to get a reading from Susan.
Okay.
And is it important to make a list of my ideal client, like, demographic, his pain, all of that?
Yeah. The more clear you can be on who they are, the more you can speak to their stuff and identify where they're going to be and how to reach them and how to identify their problems. Ultimately, you need to be able to speak to them and describe their prison better than they can. So if you don't know who they are, and if you're shooting out a message that says, "Hey, middle-aged men who've been through disease and want to feel better, call me," you're not going to call. But if you can say, "Look, you're a middle-aged man. You're suffering from erectile dysfunction that's totally screwing with your sex life, and you can't sleep at night, and you're losing confidence, and you don't have the energy and vitality you used to have, and you've been diagnosed with hepatitis C, which they say never goes away, and you feel like you catch everything that comes along because your immune system's been down, and it's affecting your parenting, and your confidence, and your sex life, and your energy and vitality to do all those things you love to do, and you feel like now you're trapped in your body having this miserable experience." If this is you, and you're ready to be free from this, reach out now to see if we're a fit. So see how if I just say, if you're this, like surface level shit, it doesn't mean anything, no one's going to reach out. But if I can describe their prison better than they can, then they'll be inspired to move forward. I need to be able to elicit emotion in them. Plus, I need to know where they're at. If my client is a health client, they're at Whole Foods, they're at Good Earth, they're at the gym, they're at wherever, they're in nature. So I need to know that to speak to what they're into and be in the places that they're in. It doesn't do me any good to place flyers in frickin' McDonald's about health if they're not into it, right? So you definitely need to know your client. It would be really good if you can do, like, you're needing to be able to move quickly on this. If you keep just using the group for this, you're going to get there, but it might be kind of a tedious process. So if you can create, I don't know if there's an exchange you can create with Jonathan or somebody epic at this, where you say, "Hey, I'll give this value to you. If you'll give this value to me, within a few hours or maybe even an hour or less, someone who knows their shit can help you dial this in very quickly. So you can either spend weeks on this and slowly get tidbits, or you can just fucking create an exchange with the master and be done with it in an hour and move forward. And the exchanges don't always have to be money. Maybe you have something absolutely epic that Jonathan or someone else would be tremendously blessed from, and you can say, hey, I'll offer this for that. And they're like, good, let's go, boom. And you're on your way.
I'll look into that. Thank you.
Okay, and message me directly for that, the contact information for that reading lady, so I can get that to you.
Thank you.
Okay, guys, Marcy, anything else you want to add?
No. I've had probably 10 people in the last hour message me about badass. So again, you guys, that's my last thing is if you you really want to be there, then let us know because I think we're going to be full really soon.
It's 50 people,
Excited
guys.
about it.
We're going to have like 5 or 6 facilitators and staff, maybe 7 people that are staff. We're going to have between 40 to 45 people that are participants. It's going to be high energy, fucking massive breakthrough. We're gonna explore crystal caves. We're going to turn out the lights and have some fun processes in the total darkness in the heart of the mountain.
Ass grabs!
We're going to jump off tall cliffs and waterfalls. We're going to go down through this whirlpool suction thing that's going to scare the shit out of you. We're going to swim up to the edge of a cliff and then swim down underneath the edge of the cliff and up under into an underground cavern. We're going to face fear after fear after fear. We're going to scale ledges and like go down through tunnels and go down ladders that go down the frickin' 200-foot sheer cliff, or maybe 100. I don't know how tall it is. We're going to swim in the water. We're going to sit around and have epic gatherings before, during, and after. We're going to have meals together. We're going to turn off all our technology and leave it home. None of it even works down there. We are going to just be 50 fucking badasses going all the way for a week. Backpacking, elements, sun, water. It's fucking amazing. Totally disconnecting, resetting, recharging, masterminding, breakthrough, processing, pushing the envelope, getting more, stretching your comfort zone. Like, I can't overemphasize the fun and the value and the importance of doing this. And the more of you that are there, the more powerful it's going to be, and being able to network and connect, fucking amazing. Okay, guys. I honor you. I appreciate you. I love you. Thank you.
Love you guys.